Hi everyone, welcome back to Plant Practitioner, and today we're going to talk about Syngonium Batik. Now I have some propagations that I was actually doing here, and so I decided to go ahead and do a video on this because this is actually a very rewarding plant to have in your collection, and I thought, you know what, let's go and talk about this because it's super easy to take care of, and they have really cool leaves, and it's something that I would highly recommend if you like trailing plants and you want an easier plant. This is a great one. So I think the first thing to talk about Syngonium Batik, like I said, this is a propagation. It's very easy to propagate. This is very fast growing as well, and it has a vining trailing like habit to it, so characteristic to it. So I would highly recommend if you're going to get something like this, you can get it in a smaller form and it will grow like crazy. You don't need a big plant for this unless you're just absolutely into saying, hey, I want already full grown. One of the things that I've noticed with this one, besides the fact that it's super easy to care for and that it grows really fast, I've also noticed that if you start to see less of the veining on the leaves, that typically is either meaning that it's not getting enough light. Usually that's the main thing, the reason why you'll see less veining. But also sometimes if it's getting too much light, it will whitewash out the entire leaf, and so it almost like bleaches it out so you can't even see the veining. So that's another thing that I think that's important is either too little, you're going to see more of the green and less of the veining, or too much light, you'll see a lighter color leaf, but it's completely, you almost can't see any of the details on leaf. And that's the really cool thing about the Syngonium Batik. It may look a little bit different than the typical Syngonium. I feel like it's a little bit wilder than the typical Syngonium that we think about. So, you know, but it still carries that characteristic of kind of that still the same kind of shape of the leaf somewhat. When there are pests, the biggest thing that you probably see with this is some of the leaves will start to curl a bit and there'll be issues. The biggest pests that I've seen with Syngoniums in general is either scale or spider mites. What I tend to do is I'll obviously treat with things like Captain Jacks, but also spider mite granules. I'll just cut them all the way down. I'll cut it completely off and then I'll leave just the bottoms on whatever I have it planted in. These are great in hanging pots because they do kind of droop like that. I have a huge couple pots downstairs of these and they do kind of droop like that. When they're getting a little bit more light and they're happy, they'll start to, these were just cut a few days ago, but they'll start kind of standing up on their own. But I do suggest that if you are going to have a pot of these, that you should have some kind of support, whether it's a trellis or you could have like outside, I have kind of just like a plank that one of my Syngoniums is kind of working up. But you could also do even something simple as they have these hoops, bamboo hoops that you could use. They have them at all kinds of hardware stores. But you could also just do it in a hanging basket if you want, if you're okay with that hanging look. But definitely the support will help it if it is kind of just completely dripping over. If you overwater this, you're going to see a brown type looking leaf. Not a crispy one, but a browning leaf, almost like it's rotting. These typically like high humidity, but they're very tolerant of lower humidity. So I always think kind of like the 50-50 rule for these. 50 above 50 with the temperature Fahrenheit. Usually though, it likes to be a lot even higher than that at above 60 Fahrenheit. So try to, if it's getting down below 55, I would definitely make sure to get it somewhere a little bit warmer. And then also the humidity, it likes to be above 50%. And just like any plant, even though it can tolerate lower levels of different conditions or a variety of different conditions, you just know that that's not always meaning that it's going to grow the best in those conditions. As far as the soil that you can use, which I'll probably be making some for some of these, you can do a mixture of peat moss, perlite, you could do charcoal, worm casting, and then also some kind of charcoal. If you don't want to make your own, I mean, you can go get, I like Happy Frog's a really good soil that you, or potting mix that you can use. But if you want to even go with something as simple as just some peat moss, which you can buy at places like, you get a big bale at Walmart or Lowe's, places like that. You could go to one of those and then get some perlite. That would still work okay, but you might want to add some kind of long-lasting fertilizer or longer-lasting fertilizer like worm castings or Osmocote. And then I think the biggest thing about this as far as putting it in light, kind of going back to that, is I think it is important to make sure that it is still bright, so then you get that beautiful leaf that you're looking forward to with the Syngonium Batik, but also still have it be indirect, so it's not, number one, burning leaf, and also not kind of bleaching it out. Well, I hope this helps. If you guys have any questions, make sure to comment below. I just wanted to do a quick video on this because I was kind of working with them and I felt like, you know what, this would be a good plant for people who are looking for an easy plant and also one that grows pretty fast and has a really cool leaf.